Pretty common to see trainees in the gym when they're squatting, when they reach a point, usually a parallel, but sometimes a little bit below, where the lower back will lose its arch and there will be a little bit too much flexion in there. Here's an example. As I go down in the squat, I'm trying to maintain my arch, but common to the squat is you see people kind of relaxing a little bit there at the bottom of the squat and the lower back kind of rounds. What should happen is as you are squatting, you should be able to maintain that arch. It's usually a flexibility issue or it could be just a form issue, but it kind of depends on the training. So as you go down into the squat, if you are conscious and if you are flexible enough, you should be able to maintain that very tight arch all the way through to the very bottom of the hole, and then squat up. I'm going to show you a few things that you can do maybe to improve that. If a trainee just cannot seem to get the hang of the proper positioning at the bottom of their squat, you probably want to start there. I've seen a lot of coaches do things like box squats and trying to correct the arch from the top down. Sometimes it works better to start at the bottom and work your way up. If you start at the bottom and you have a trainee all hunched over here, if they start at the bottom of the squat and if their hands are positioned on a rope or a power rack, sometimes it's easier to get into a good position for their squat. Notice how my lower back right now is kind of rounded. That's pretty natural. If I'm working on that arch, what I would do is I would just hold on to this pole for support, and I would work at this position at straightening out my arch. When you do this, you're going to feel a lot of strain actually here in your hamstrings and in your hips more than you will in your lower back. And that's pretty common for new trainees to be pretty inflexible in this extreme range of motion. So it's a really good exercise to try. Give it a shot. One thing that you can try with trainees or just by yourself in order to maintain that arch at the bottom of the hole is to give cues or reminders as the trainee is squatting. One thing you want to make sure is that your head is back throughout the movement. If your head drifts forward, this tends to throw our chest inward and then our lower back will round. Also, you can practice spreading the chest. In Bigger, Faster, Stronger program, they talk about spreading the chest, maintaining a very large open chest, and this will help maintain your lower back position as well. Another exercise you can try is called the wall squat. Set yourself up in front of a wall, close, and just perform squats. You want to make sure that you aren't leaning too far forward, otherwise you're going to be eating wall. Also, you want to make sure that your knees don't drift too close to the wall, otherwise you're going to be banging your knees against the wall. So, set yourself up close to the wall and descend into your squat. Drive up. There are several exercises that you can try that will help you maintain that arch at the bottom of the squat. One of them is the overhead squat. If you're unfamiliar with the overhead squat, what you want to do is you want to take a snatch grip, which is going to be wider than shoulder width. Some people will take it pretty much out to as far as the knurling will go. Some people will take it at the rings. I usually take it at the rings. Okay? You'll take a snatch grip and you will get the bar above your head. You can either press this out of the racks, stepping out of the racks in the squat position, and then push pressing it to the top. Or if the weight is light enough, you could actually snatch it up. Power snatch it. Okay? Once you get the bar to the top, you want to make sure that you are flexing the back and you are trying to pull the bar apart with your hands. When you do an overhead squat, as you descend, the overhead squat is a pretty unforgiving exercise as far as getting out of position. So if your lower back tends to round, you can pretty much plan on having to drop the weight. It's good if you have bumper plates for this exercise. Another exercise that you can try is the front squat. For the front squat, there's really two options. One is to have the bar on your shoulders. Now, depending on your wrist and shoulder flexibility, you may not be able to be in this position, and you might have to do the cross your heart position. Either way, whichever is easiest for you. For me, it's easier just to take a regular clean grip, get into position on my shoulders. Normally you take this out of the rack, of course. Keep the chest up and out, and your elbows, you will try to drive up to the ceiling. Head back, of course. Head up, chest out, stomach tight. Lower into the squat, and drive up. And that's front squat. The wall walk is an excellent exercise, and it will really loosen up your hip flexors and your lower back. The first time I saw this exercise, I saw Pavel perform, and I thought there's no way I can do that. But if you keep your glutes tight as he instructs, there really should be minimal risk to your lower back. So this is called the wall walk. Keep your glutes iron tight. That's the wall walk. People who are new to the squat, and sometimes even people who've been squatting for years, are relatively inflexible in their hips and their hamstrings. And this will put a lot of strain on the lower back. And because the body is trying to take that load off of the hamstrings, it will cause the upper body to round. There are a few stretches and drills that you can try that will just loosen up the hamstrings. These aren't necessarily things that you would do as a dynamic warm-up, but they might be things that you do outside of the gym. The traditional hamstring stretch, which is to keep your legs straight, keep your back as flat as possible, and lean over and stretch. It's a really good stretch for the hamstrings. And that you can do is just kind of a slow, steady stretch, or you could do ballistically if you wanted to train that way. A hurdle stretch is a pretty good stretch too, and that will really work the hip flexors, and this is something that you need for good squatting. If you take a hurdle stretch and then you lean back into a hamstring stretch, this is also a really good one that will hit your hamstrings pretty hard. Hip circles. Hip circles are a really good dynamic kind of warm-up. It's something you should probably be doing before you squat. This will really loosen up the hips and get them warmed up and ready to go for squatting. Another stretch that you can try is a stretch for the IT band, the iliotibial band that runs across the side of your thigh here. And the way to hit that is to put one leg in front of the other. And we're going to be stretching this side, this IT band. So as we go down, we're going to feel that stretch not only in that back leg hamstring, but if we kind of lean our hips over to the right side and kind of move our upper body to the left side, we're going to feel that more in that IT band area. If you're feeling tight in the glutes, those exercises will also work. One exercise that I have found is a really good stretch for the glute, and I had some injuries, would be just to get down on all fours and then rock from side to side. It doesn't seem like much of an exercise or much of a stretch, but it really does work. Give it a shot.